The first question we asked is as follows. You have stated that based on the 2012 school district study, approximately 23% of eligible students within the boundaries of school district 206 do not attend Alexandria Area High School. We'd like you to explain to us how many students you think within the school district boundaries will enroll in NorthStar Christian Academy and Alexandria Area High School.
The statistic that we've used, the 23.8% of the students who don't attend District 206 schools that live in the district, comes right out of the District 206 strategic plan from 2012. And so you've asked the exact numbers, let me give them to you. This is from the school year of 2011, and the numbers were published in 2012 as part of their strategic plan. In that year, living in district boundaries of 206, there's 3,924 students, K through 12. Of those, 937 do not attend school in District 206. And you've asked, where are they? Well, that is in page 8 of the strategic plan. It's on the website. You can download it and read it. But it goes as follows. RLC, which is the Runestone Learning Center, 43. Open enrollment, 262. Charter schools, 36. Private schools, 388. Home schools, 154. PSEO, which is post-secondary education options, 54. So that totals 937. Divide that by 3936, 23.8%. So it's not a number we made up. We took it right out of the District 206 plan. So that's where they are. And part of your question was also why. We don't know. It's just you'd have to, I guess, ask them personally why they attend those different options, but those are the numbers.
The specific question was also related to how many of those you would think would be enrolled in either your academy or in the high school, and we're not talking about any elementary students, just high school.
We project that by the third year of our school, we'll have about 200 students. So whatever percentage that is of the high school, 9 through 12 at that time, we're projecting about 200. The first year might be 50 and then 100 or 200, but as Brent was laying out before, we've changed our curriculum model to religious release time, and so those students will be able to come 3 hours a week, and so we're projecting about 200 in the third year.
The next question is, will the NorthStar Christian Academy expect any services from School District 206 for its students beyond what is available to other parochial schools in the district?
One of the things that seems to be a little bit confusing, and as we've moved forward with this initiative, we've learned more. One of the things that I found interesting is that the state statutes, as it applies to what we're doing, are not real specific, because we are proposing something that, well, is somewhat unique. Now, the release time thing isn't unique. That's been happening in some fashion for many, many years. But as we've tried to wrap our minds around what the right thing to do going forward is, it's been a bit of a moving target. So, could you tell me what the question was again?
The question relates to expanded services. Are there any additional services that you would expect?
We do not expect any additional services over what is normally received. The thing where I was going with that question that made me forget the direction was that the students that we're talking about are all District 206 students that are opting to take release time in our institution. And Minnesota law does say that release time cannot happen on public property because of the separation of church and state, and thus the importance of being next door. Did I answer that okay?
I'm going to ask this question even though I think you've already answered it with your new statement. How can the academy students meet graduation requirements by taking only 75% of the approved curriculum at the high school? And then I'm going to modify this question a little bit and say, if students are going to be gone 3 hours from a class or classes, how is that going to allow them to complete the course that they're in or meet graduation requirements?
Great question. So a student needs to have 32 credits to graduate, or excuse me, there are 32 credits that you could have in District 206 if you took full course load for all 4 years. You only need 28.5 credits to graduate. So if you take a study hall, you don't get any credit for it, but you have 7 classes over those 4 years to burn, so to speak. If you failed a class or if you took a study hall, you can still graduate without getting credit for 7 classes. Well, it seems unrealistic that a student could be in a class, and although the law provides for them to leave that class and go to religious release time, that seems pretty undoable because the work has to be made up. So our thought is that parents and students that wanted to take advantage of the release time option at NorthStar would sign up for a study hall. And they would then leave that study hall time to walk across the parking lot and go to the NorthStar Academy. That way, it is an additive thing. You know, these students could graduate by just staying in the study hall and not doing any additional work. It is an additive thing that the parents and the students get to decide, but that's how we're thinking that it would work best and the way we would be recommending that they do it. They actually sign up for a study hall and then they leave the study hall. The key thing about that that's important to us and important to our district is the state aid that is given, which is just about $6,000 a year per student, is pro rata given by enrollment. So as long as the students are enrolled, a study hall, leaving for release time, no money is deducted from our public school coffers.
The next question deals with content. And again, I have to give the preface that this question was based upon the original assumption that students would be 1/4 time at NCA. But I'm going to ask it anyway. Other than classes specifically teaching religion, the courses described in your literature all cover content taught at Alexandria Area High School, such as science, social studies, English, math. How will elective classes at NCA in these content areas be different from those electives taught at the high school?
Yeah, so things have changed with respect to the release time piece, so I'd like to answer that in 2 ways. One of the things we like about release time is that we are free to teach whatever it is we feel led to teach. There is no credit given for what we do. The high school is not going to be asking about whether students graduated and how well they did on this curriculum. So that's one thing we like about it. But I've been asked the question, what can NorthStar provide that the public school cannot provide? And that's a similar question, you know, whether you're getting credit for it or not. And the way we think about it, and the way we think that this is so important, is that if you are a student, and by law in the public school, 1962, our federal courts, the Supreme Court as a matter of fact, mandated the separation between church and state. So since then, and they mandated the removal of the 10 Commandments from our classrooms. So since then, what have we had? Well, we've had a curriculum with respect to some, what we believe are crucial questions in life. Where did we come from? Is there any purpose in life? Is there absolute truth? How is that addressed in any way in the public school? Well, with a lot of difficulty, because by law, they are not allowed to talk about intelligent design. It has been adjudicated that talking about intelligent design is the same thing as saying there is a God and talking about God. And so our public schools aren't allowed to do that. So if you're a young person and you have been brought up to think that we are a cosmic accident, the Big Bang, it's one and done, you live here, you're dead and you're gone, how might you think about life? As opposed to the polar opposite of that, which is the biblical worldview that says God created the heavens and the earth, God created us in His image, and He loves us and has an eternal plan for us. We think that that biblical foundation of what we see as truth, and important truth, is really important for the students to then build their educational scaffolding on. You know, the math and the English and, a noun's a noun and a pronoun's a pronoun. But that biblical foundation we feel is important. So that's what we feel we can bring to the students. At the public school, like I said, great Christian teachers, but by law, if a student asks, well, man, that just kind of looks like intelligent design to me. Could we talk about that? No.
Following up on that question, and again, on the assumption that there would be 25% of the time spent. You reference the use of online classes in your brochure. Who will be the source of these classes, and will they meet the curriculum standards of Alexandria Area High School? And again, the assumption on this question is that at some point, whether it's not next year, but at some point, you will be looking for credit for graduation from the high school.
As we look at our curriculum, whether it's religious release time or credit type curriculum, we will be setting up our curriculum by the standards and regulations of the Minnesota Department of Education. So all online courses, credits that will be taken would be pre-approved by them.
Okay, we're going to ask one final question of the questions that we have prepared in advance, and then we see we got a lot of cards coming in, so I want to get to those right away. The City of Alexandria is considering an expansion project to meet the growing needs of ice time in this community. Have you considered partnering with the city to grow the Runestone Center for the benefit of your program and community needs? Why or why not?
Yes, so we have met 2 different times with city officials to talk about this. And personally, this is one of the things that I feel badly about with respect to the NorthStar initiative. Our community has been working for 3+ years and discussing thoughts around expanding RCC. And now all of a sudden, NorthStar swoops in and says, hey, we're going to build a sheet of ice over on our facility. There's the distinct possibility that that might, in fact, submarine, at least for a while, the initiative with the city. And we're very concerned about unity, and so we went to the city to have some discussions about that and how we might work together. And we did have some very good discussions. In the end, NorthStar decided that we should not join forces with the city, and the reason was pretty clear. The separation of church and state thing that's been pounding its way down the tracks now since 1962 is a very real thing. And so we asked some questions like, well, there's some symbols of our faith that are pretty important to us, like a cross. Would we be able to put a cross up in the facility that we helped pay for? The thought was that we could use some of our fundraising initiatives along with some of the cities and other folks, work together to put this sheet of ice together. And so that's what we were talking about. And we said, well, would we be able to put up some of the symbols of our faith that are important to us? Well, no, don't think you'd be able to do that. And as we started thinking about the things that we cannot say and do on public property, and the fact that it's across town, and we hope to have the coaches and some of the staff that are working with the hockey players engaged in the school as well, it wasn't an impossibility. It's not that far to drive, right? It just takes a little more planning and a little more time. And so when we put that together with what our vision, our model is of working with the students in that way, and the things that we couldn't do if we were part of a public institution, we regrettably decided that that's what we ought to do. So, yes, we've had those conversations, and that's how that turned out.